Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is the long-awaited installation of the roof on our house. The color we chose is Galvalume, which is a galvanized looking metal finish, and we went with that because it reflects the most solar energy. It's the coolest metal roof you can get, and we got all of our material from a local supplier called Allsteel, and the actual panel pattern that we went with is called Apex because it looks the closest to a standing seam pattern without actually being a standing seam. So we have an exposed fastener roof rather than a concealed fastener roof. Primarily because once we got the estimate for doing a standing seam roof, we decided we could not afford that. But overall, it seems to, look pretty good, and we're going to go through the installation process in this video. We're starting by putting on the drip edge, which was incorrect in the initial order. We had to have it remade because it was too long, made for a pole barn. And they're just putting roofing nails in to hold it in place, and then the leading edge of the tin, once it goes on the top, will be screwed through it and hold everything together.
Looking good, Scott. Kind of keep an eye on us, make sure we're staying straight and true to the wood and pretty, you know what I mean? Sometimes we can't see everything from up here. I have to tear this off here. Yeah. Where she is. Right there. Yep.
Well, looks like they backed off on what was coming next week.
Put me another bullet right there.
25% chance of rain on Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yeah.
God, yep.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be pop-up showers like we normally get in June, July, where the only place it's raining is where you're trying to get something done.
Yeah. What? Yeah, she did. Ah, drop it.
So they're putting on valley pans right now where the two different slopes of the roof come together, and those valley pans will be laid down in that valley. The metal will come down into the valley, and the way that these things are made, the hem on the edges is left a little open so that when the water is running down the roof, if it backs up into it, it'll turn it and push it back down into the valley in theory. So, everything trying to slope downhill to keep the water from backing up into the roof structure. The fitting process on these valley pans and on the transition trim between the different pitches of the roof is kind of complicated because we've got, where they're working right now, a 12-12 roof coming down into a valley against a 312 pitch roof, and then that comes down to a hip on that little piece sticking out over the porch, And then the main section of the roof is a 10-12 pitch coming down to a 3-12 pitch. And then on the gable end walls, because the siding's going up, there is a transition piece of flashing that goes between the siding and the metal. And so there's a lot of math and calculating and cutting and trimming stuff to fit that goes on with all of these pieces. Here you see Zach laying out the hole pattern for where the screws are going to go in these panels. And what they've done is stacked up the panels that are all the same size, laid it out, and they're going to drill all of them at one time. You'll see them, once they get the first hole drilled, put a nail in there to lock everything together, and then they'll finish drilling these holes, and it just makes the pattern consistent across the entire roof, because when you got that many screws laid out, you can find an anomaly in the pattern really quickly just glancing across that roof.
How you doing that? They should eat, guys. What?
Too hot.
Go over here where it's flat.
Yeah.
Right. It's ready. You really should have all these tore off here. That's got in the way. If you tear that one off right there above, it'd be perfect to go up. So that's what you gotta climb up. There you go. You still need to be over here 30, 40 inches away from it. Ready? You can get up with your fingers. heading back the other way, yeah. Now you gotta come up the hill. A little more. Alright, now set your line to your line. Remember to cut them longer. I got set that left with the right corner. Okay. Then we go up and down. I got it. Gone. It's gone. You cut me another 25 1/4, and then hang on, I need.
Now, because of the humidity and the condensation on this metal roof, it's pretty slick. There were several close calls during this project. You know, it's one of those things that it's not like a shingled roof where you've got some traction and any kind of moisture makes it really slick up there. Here they're putting in those transition pieces I was talking about earlier, where the metal transitions from the 10-12 pitch down to the 3-12 pitch. And the the way these things work, you attach it to the roof deck on the high side of the pitch. It overlaps the top of the metal on the lower side, and then when you put the sheeting up onto the upper portion of the roof, the bottom of it overlaps that transition, and it keeps the water on the top surface of the roof material rather than, you know, running the risk of going underneath the metal on the lower section. These pieces you're going to see them putting in now are cut into a parallelogram shape so that they fit this hip into the valley, this corner, and match the pattern of the metal on either side of it. So they've got to cut them in such a way that the ribs line up and then get them fit into the space available. And you're going to see them taking a bender that I made for them and bending the top of this panel in the pans so that it's bent to a 90-degree from the main portion of the panel. And the reason they're doing that is because when they put the ridge cap on there, it will keep the water from blowing back up underneath and getting past the metal onto the roof deck. It's really important in this corner of the house because this is the side that the prevailing wind's going to be coming from, so there's a pretty strong risk of it blowing rain up underneath that ridge cap and getting down onto the roof deck itself. The section they're working on now is pretty complicated. You're going to see them set the ridge cap on this peak that runs between the main part of the house and the garage, and then they've got to fit the fascia that comes down the gable end of the main roof and intersects that ridge cap. And after that, they've got to cut and fit the gable rake trim for the metal roof to fit that same intersecting corner. And all of these things have to be fit together very well to prevent water from getting in between some of those pieces and rotting out the wood on that gable end.
What do I look like there? I can tighten it up any.
They've already got two over there.
Let me add the pieces. Shit. Man, if you want to help him with that side, you can. Well, it's gonna take somebody holding their ladders. And I figure Scott and them could. Oh, it's not it, is it? You a little long? Hang on, wait. Just don't force nothing.
This is a little better shot of using that bender I mentioned earlier. And he's doing the upper end of this panel where it goes under the ridge cap to prevent wind-blown rain from getting up under the ridge cap and down onto the roof deck at the top. This piece is notched to go around the skylight, and it's going to be a little tedious for them to get it in place because at the top, it's got to go under the flashing for the skylight. Then it goes in a groove down the side and has to go over the flashing for the skylight at the bottom. So this is going to be a little bit of a fight for them to get it in. And you can see they're having to straddle the roof peak and straddle across a couple ladders and try to work it in. I was glad that it wasn't me up on the roof doing this.
That'd be the one piece I needed right there. I didn't mean to I wasn't frustrated with you, Lane, because if I can't get a piece of metal and get finished, then we got to come back. And, you know, I lose probably $150 right there. Time I pay y'all's labor to load up, pay your labor, yeah, every time. Look, you need to bend that up. See your little tab, look. Down here, baby. Bend it up. Bend it up right there in the corner. Bend this part down and the upper part up. See what I'm saying? Yeah, there you go. You see a little bend in it. Don't miss it. Right there. You'll need this.
I got some in my pocket if that don't. I got a full pouch. Good.
It's good, don't it, Scott? Okay.
Picture.
Look. Dave, I need you to hold that right there and don't let her slip. No, just look, move your hand.
All right, folks, I think that's going to wrap this video up for today. Thank you for watching, and y'all have a good day.